Welcome back, officers of the public. It's your Coruscant Underworld Police Chief, APGAINS. Title is no lie. The number one tip that I can give you, and this is also going to be the number one tip anyone else will give you as far as GAC is concerned, but I have a feeling that you haven't heard it from them, so I'm going to tell you just so you guys can at least know it. If you guys find this video or anything that I upload helpful, it is Massive PP May. Let me know in the comment section what kind of things you are doing for Massive PP May to make it special. Like the video, of course, for Ballsack Bugs Bunny. Subscribe to help my ego grow. And we will get along just swimmingly. You, me, Promiscuous Penguin, we can all be friends. All right, so the number one tip, what is it? It's going to sound kind of stupid when I say this, but every single time you watch a Grand Arena, if you watch live streams, every time you play a Grand Arena, it all comes down to who has the most banners at the end of it, right? Pretty obvious. You might be saying, APGAINS, how is this the number one tip? Of course, you know, the person with the most banner wins. Like, why am I watching this video? It's a complete waste of time. No! No. Because this channel is mostly focused on early mid-game players, especially those who are free to play, of course. Cutting Edge Theory crafts, since I may or may not be the shadow puppeteer of all of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I might be pulling all the strings from behind. You guys will never know that. Banners. Banners are how you win the game, and I see a lot of people kind of not fully taking advantage of mathematically the easiest possible way to win like 95% plus of your Grand Arenas if you're, sub 5 million, sub 4 million GP, especially if you're a good player. Now, a lot of this advice kind of goes out the window if you're, not the best player. Maybe you aren't watching a lot of videos and maybe you don't understand how team synergy goes, but at the end of the day, that's just something that's going to come along with practice. But what do I mean? I've done at least 10 or 11,000, and I'm not exaggerating, 1,000 roster views over the last 3 years. So I've seen as many accounts, probably more accounts than any other person outside of someone who crunches data at Capital Games. I have no problem saying that I've seen more Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes accounts than any other person in the entire world who does not work for Capital Games. Probably by a lot. That being said, I noticed that a lot of times people tend to focus, especially if they've clearly stated that winning Grand Arenas is kind of their main priority. I see them focusing on the wrong teams at the wrong times. There are certain kind of ebbs and flows, if we're going to use some Thronisms here, in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes at the certain GP levels, especially at the certain skill levels, because now that there's skill-based matchmaking, we have to consider not only the GP of the account, the total depth and height of the account, as well as the skill of the player. So, long story short, when we first start off, and a lot of you guys probably aren't starting off new accounts, but a lot of you guys who still have existing accounts can benefit from this in your future farming. We tend to want to farm offensive teams more than we want to farm defensive teams, right? In the very early game, the three teams that we want to use for our three offensive teams are, of course, Darth Vader solo, Bosk lead Zeta, and a CLS underman-sized team with everything else placed on defense. Because we have two strategies that we're going to kind of go back and forth from. There's two winning strategies in Grand Arena. There's out-efficient your opponent on offense and place a defense that they can't beat, which then involves out-efficiencying them again. So basically, at the end of the day, we want to out-efficiency whether we do that full offense or full defense. Depends on the part of the game that we're in, but if we're talking early game, and I'll break this down by GP level, so if you're 1 million GP, I'll tell you what to do, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever, so everyone will at least understand kind of how this core concept works. When you're first starting off, of course, you want to go Darth Vader, Bosk lead Zeta, CLS underman squad, because all of those squads give you maximum banners and undersize, which is going to give you more than maximum banners, which means if your opponent goes in with a full team of 5, and oftentimes even a team of 4, they mathematically cannot beat us. Now, I'm not talking about they have, a bigger account, because oftentimes, your opponents have millions of more galactic power than you. But when you're starting off, a lot of your matchups are going to be at least, relatively reasonable. And even if they're not relatively reasonable, you're going to be facing players with bigger accounts who aren't as good as you or don't have a winning Grand Arena strategy, which is why this is the number one tip is apply a winning Grand Arena strategy, because we've taken all of the skill, all of the chance, all of the other variables in Grand Arena as a whole, we've completely eliminated, right? Sometimes, your opponent is going to have millions more GP than you, like this guy, and he's just going to be one of those guys where, You can meme around on stream and go cup solo and use Geonosians against Treo with your Gear 6 Geospy and think it's going to win. And sometimes you're just going to find players who are bigger and they're going to drop a battle against this new gun rate team or lose to a Zam Wessel Omicron when they've saved everything for offense. Of course, sometimes you're going to find GACs where your opponent, isn't a good player. But oftentimes your opponent is going to have a bigger account, more stuff, and your only advantage is going to be that your opponent likely isn't watching these videos, and likely, if they're in the bracket that they're in with so much more GP than you, probably don't have the skill that you have, which means they're probably not implementing the strategies that you're implementing. Now on offense, let's go back to the very beginning game where in 5v5, you need one team per each zone because 3v3 sucks, so we're going to pretend like it doesn't exist. You need one here, one here, one here. If you use Vader here, or let's say use Vader here, wherever the Geonosians are probably if you're super early game, that's 69 banners, but if it's your first battle, it's 79 banners. Let's just take the plus 10 out of the equation. That's 69 banners, right? Your opponent goes against your Padme squad with, they rushed SLKR and they use some first order team and they get, 58 banners or something, or 62 now that the banners are slightly different because 65 would be max. Let's get they 61 or 62 or even 63. Even if they get undersized max banners, mathematically, nothing they can do would beat us. If we go here with our Bounty Hunter squad underman and we, recover our banners, of course, because of Bosk, maybe we have a grief to help, facilitate that, and we underman that, and we get 67 banners. And they use a full squad of 5 up here against our Darth Revan or something like that. And they actually managed to beat it. Mathematically, there's nothing they can possibly do to beat us. It doesn't matter how good or how smart their counter is. And this will play at every single galactic power, whether you're 1 million and especially if you're 10 million. You use the teams on offense that get you the most banners and don't have a chance of dropping battles. And you place the stuff on defense that can screw over your opponent. Because, yeah, a lot of people will willy-nilly go in with full squads of 5 when they don't need to. But at the end of the day, when it all comes down to it and you all one-shot, you're watching an Arnold stream or whatever, and if everyone goes full squads of 5, you're leaving it up to chance. I don't want you to leave your grand arenas up to chance. That's what stupid people do. If you really truly are competitive, and I don't know if you are. If you're watching this video, you probably just are looking for farming advice for fun and whatever. But if you're a competitive person like I am, it's all about the preparation. It's all about the game plan. It's all about the execution. If you leave stuff up to chance, you are purposely, well, maybe you just aren't. Maybe you're knowingly or unknowingly leaving the win in the hands of something else, whether that's RNG or God or your opponent's skill level. You're leaving the chances of you winning up to someone else. And this is a game where you can take the opportunity. You can take that chance to win and keep it in your hands. You get to make the decisions at the end of the day. Because your opponent, especially if you're punching up many galactic powers, is probably not as good as you. You get to dictate the terms. You get to plan out your teams for offense and your teams for defense, and you can make sure that mathematically, if we go back to that early game stage, we're getting 69, they're getting 60, 62. We're getting 67. Maybe they get max banners and they get 65. We go here with our CLS underband squad and we get 67 again, and they get another perfect 65. They got perfect banners. Let's just say they got perfect banners on all 3. They got 65s every single time. That means they went in with their squads and they didn't take a single point of damage. They masterfully and perfectly executed their game plan against you. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Because we didn't... Oh, my camera froze. We didn't leave... Oh, my camera froze again. We didn't leave our chances of winning and losing up to something else, out of our control. We kept it in our control. We planned from the very beginning to the very end of our accounts to do these things. It's the same thing with, endgame players. I'm not going to play Sith Eternal Emperor on defense because our opponents are going to take away my value. I'm going to undersize on offense and get good banners and beat something strong because I'm getting not only value, but also banner efficiency. It doesn't matter what GP you are. Stop, and I've seen probably 11 or 12,000 rosters at this point over the last 3 years. We do a roster review stream every single night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right? We've been doing it for years. The volume is there. I've seen everything. I watch people do their grand arenas, everything. If there's one thing that you need to do to win more grand arenas, it's not spend money. It's not watch some crazy thing. It's make sure you're doing everything in your power every single day in your farming, in your preparation of your opponent, of your scouting, of your actual game plan. You're doing every single thing that you possibly can to keep the odds of winning and losing in your hands. You know what I'm saying? You are going to dictate the outcome of the Grand Arena. The second you let your opponent dictate the outcome of the Grand Arena, your chances of losing skyrocket. Maybe you won't lose because you're a better player and your opponent's going to be like this guy, where he could have easily full cleared, but he, dropped a battle against Darth Revan, even though he probably could have used gas here or something like that. You know what I mean? All right. He could have used JML, or not JML, because you used Jedi Knight Luke or something like that. Sometimes these GDCs will happen, and that's fine. But if we're holding ourselves to the standard of beating people who are bad, what are we? We're also bad. We want the best competition, and we want to make sure that no matter what, we know that we are in the driver's seat. I don't care if you have the best player in the entire world. If we're planning every single day in our farming, in our execution, in our strategy, in our game plan, in our actual gameplay, we are going to win our grand arenas. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I love you, and I'll see you later.